Okay, now we're going to bring the ArcMap components into Illustrator. So go up to File, Open, and browse to where you saved them. Hold down Shift to open them both at the same time, to highlight them both. This right here is a warning that if you don't hit Update, your scale bar won't come in, so always make sure you hit Update. This is your hill shade that you exported, and the vector network. On the hill shade, hit Control A, Control C to copy all of it, and then bring it over to the vector network by hitting Control V. It places on top of all the vectors. However, over here on the right hand side of Illustrator, there's a bunch of tools, and the tool that looks like two pieces of paper laid on top of each other, the Layers panel, is one of your most important tools in Illustrator. So click on your Layers panel, and you can see that it placed it in this layer called Other. So within the layer panels, Other is actually referring to the legend, the scale bar, and the north arrow from ArcMap, and then Layers is referring to the different vectors you brought in. So this is champ sites, perennial streams, and your watershed layer. So on the left hand side of the Layers panel, there's these arrows, and if you click on an arrow, it opens up the Layers panel. I can see the one that's called Image is my hill shade. So I'm going to left click on that and drag it down to the bottom. Now I want to apply a drop shadow to my hill shade. So to select it, I'm going to click on these circles on the right hand side of it. Go up to Effect, Stylize, Drop Shadow. I'm happy with the defaults. Okay. Now I have a drop shadow on it. Now I want to actually make my champ sites larger. I'm not happy with the size of them. So I'm going to select all my champ sites and go to Object, Transform, Transform Each. And you can't choose what size they're going to be at the output, but you can scale each one up, and I want to scale each one by 150%. I'm going to preview this, and that actually is doing exactly opposite of what I wanted to. So what just happened is a common problem in Illustrator. So to work around that, the workaround is by using your white arrow, which is a single selection, direct selection tool it's called, versus your black arrow, which selects groups. I'm going to click on my white arrow, make sure nothing's selected, click on one of the champ sites in the map, go up to Select, Same, Fill and Stroke, and it's going to select all the ones on the map that are the same color basically. And then go to Object, Transform Each, and I still want to transform them by 150%, but this time when I preview them, it doesn't move them. So hit OK, and since they're still selected, I'm not happy with this orangey color that I chose. So up on the top is where you can change your color. Use the little drop down. On the bottom left corner is a little swatch libraries menu. Go to default swatches, basic RGB, and let's change it to a deeper red. And I want to also change my stroke. I want to give this a black outline on it. So right next to the fill color is the stroke color. And I could go down to the swatch library menu, go to swatches, basic RGB. However, I can't change the stroke until down here on the lower left hand side of the page. Whatever I click on color wise now, because the fill's on top, it's going to change the fill color. When I want to change the stroke color, I have to bring the stroke to the top. Now that the stroke's on the top, I can hit the black and it changes all the stroke outlines to black. Alright, so go back over to your Layers menu and let's look at the legend properties. Illustrator always brings the legend in, or ArcMap always brings the legend into Illustrator a little weird. It kind of separates components from each other. So for instance, we have kilometers 20, 16, 12, 8, and 4 in this layer, but down below it is the rest of the scale bar. So to mitigate that issue, first of all, let's remove the clipping masks by highlighting the clipping mask of that layer and hit delete. Do it right here. And then we're going to actually have to drag and drop each one of the scale bar components by left clicking and dragging it to the same layer the other components are in. It always brings in your north arrow with a funny little dollar sign, so to change that to north arrow, just double click on it and then type out north. Okay, so now we have our, now that I've dragged all those components down, our scale bar is within the same layer panel. And the reason you would want to do that is to move it, say, or to change different components of it, for instance your stroke or your text size. Now I want to basically just make my legend a little cleaner. So scrolling up in the layers panel, I'm going to change this other to legend so that if somebody's looking at your map, they know what it is. And I'm going to change this first group to legend / north. Minimize that and change this group to scale. Okay, and I want to make a box around my legend, so right here I'm going to select my box tool, my rectangle tool. However, if I wanted a rounded rectangle tool or a polygon tool, they're also in here. You can access them by holding down the left mouse button and clicking on the arrow at the corner. But I want the regular rectangle tool. I draw a box around this. It places it in my legend panel. However, I want it at the bottom. So I'm going to left click and drag to the bottom of my legend. I want to give it a stroke. The stroke's on top, and here's black stroke. Using my white arrow, I want to separate these a little bit. So highlight the one you want to separate and just using the arrow keys on the keyboard. I want champ sites and the circle to be even, so click on the circle, hold down shift and click on champ sites, and up here some alignment tools show up, and these are really important in Illustrator. And I actually want to vertical distribute center. Ooh, that didn't do anything. So let's try horizontal distribute center. That's actually what I wanted. And since they're both highlighted, I can move them both at the same time. Maybe I want a vertical align top though, or vertical align bottom. It just slightly moves the circle. Okay. When I use the white white selection tool to click on the perennial streamline, it gives me a selection, but as you can see, the some of the vertices on it are not selected. So in order to select it all, I have to go over to the layers panel. I can see that it's right here that's selected, but just by clicking on that circle again, it selects it all. I want to move that up. And then one last thing I want to do is change this watershed box to the actual watershed outline. So to do that, I'm going to go in my layers panel and scroll down until I see the watershed outline. This one right here is called watershed. Highlight it all. Zoom out by doing Control minus. Control plus also zooms in, but Control minus. Hit Control C to copy the watershed outline and Control V to paste it. Using the black arrow tool, I want to move it off the page. I want to change its stroke outline to a black color. It did not place it in my legend. I would like it placed in my legend, so hit Control G to group the new watershed outline, because it's actually a set of different points, and we can see right here, here's my grouped watershed outline. I'm going to left click and drag that up to my legend, place it in the legend, and then using my black selection tool, I am going to hold down shift to size it proportionally, and then using my left click on my mouse, drag it to the size I want it. As you can see, it has a clipping mask on it, and I don't want that in the clipping mask in my legend, so I'm going to go to the group that in the legend where I placed it, which is at the top here, open it up, highlight the clipping mask and hit delete, and that gets rid of it. And I'm going to highlight this group. I actually want it to be a little smaller. Delete this rectangle. Don't want it. Ooh. If you move things and you don't want to move them like that, hit Control Z and you can return to as many steps as you want. And also, since I don't want to highlight that, that had highlighted the image. Place a lock right here by left clicking in this area. And now it doesn't highlight that image anymore. Using the arrow keys, move it up to where you want it. I don't know if I'm happy with the text size in this legend, so holding down Shift you can highlight each text size. Go to the top, it's Arial. I want it to be Calibri, so I just hit a C in the Arial box. And then 10.52 doesn't appear to be big enough for this map, so let's make it 14. And since the text got bigger, we need to make our box bigger. Oops. As you can see, I only have one side of the box highlighted right now. I'm going to left align these. Then I'm going to move them all over at once. One last thing is I probably want this box to have a drop shadow on it, so first I need to fill it with white. And go up to Effect, Stylize, Drop Shadow. Hit OK. Okay, so that's how you move between ArcMap and Illustrator.